Ed Mylett is one of the fastest growing business personalities who has been listed by Forbes as a top 50 under 50. He went from being born into a middle-class family, becoming broke and having a shower at a public pool, to being worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And today we're gonna learn his best advice on how to stop comparing yourself to others. Rise and shine, it's Entspresso time.
I wake up every morning.
Espresso keep me going.
I wake up every morning.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and every morning I bring you a shot of Entspresso to help you believe in yourself more and start your day with confidence. So good morning, I believe in you. Let's do this. Over to you, Ed Mylett.
It's not the success of people you know that's making you unhappy. It's you're comparing your situation to the success they're having that creates unhappiness in your life. So for those of you that are struggling and saying, you know, one of the things I suffer from is I'm just not very happy very often, I can tell you that that presence of unhappiness, you will always link to a comparison of some sort, either in your own life or in other people's lives. And just being aware of that fact and stopping the comparison, embracing this moment, embracing this time, knowing that you can't go back to that previous time, knowing that you can't be in somebody else's life. You're not gonna have that other body right now. And so if you're looking to be happier, I can promise you, the number one key that I would give you is to stop the comparison game. You'd say, well, that's not completely true. I mean, what if someone passes away? That makes me unhappy. There's no comparison there. Let's take the most extreme example. Or when someone's sick in my family, someone in my family's got a really bad illness, that makes me unhappy. That's not a comparison. In fact, it is. The fact of the matter is that when someone gets sick in your family or passes away, what you do in your mind is you compare it to when they were healthy. So that comparison of I wish they were healthier again, that is a comparison between the previous situation and the current condition. If someone passes away, it's comparing the time that you had them. That's why people say, if I could just have one more moment with them, if I could just have another conversation, it's comparing it to when you had the moment. It's comparing it to when you had the conversation. And so those are extreme examples. But if we reduce it all the way down to anything right now in your life that you say, it brings me unhappiness, there's no joy there. There's a comparison happening that's not serving you.
I think comparing yourself to others is actually a really great thing. Most people just do it wrong. Most people look at someone like Ed Mylett and they see the big house and the fancy cars and they get jealous. I look at Ed and I tell myself, that's what's possible. Most people kick themselves down, but what you need is a kick forward. And without the kick, you just stay exactly where you are. The comparison to other people can be that kick. Just make sure you're kicking yourself forward to what's possible, not down because you're jealous. So I had a great chance to actually meet Ed. Last year I did my tour. I did 90 days, 23 cities. Did I get that right? It was 90 days. It was a crazy tour. I went through California and I got the chance to meet Ed. He hosted me at his house. I met his amazing wife, his dog, some of his team. We had a fantastic evening together, and his house is gorgeous. It's giant. It's on the private beach. It's an amazing home. And he gave me business advice, he gave me life advice, helped him with his YouTube channel a bit. And on that same trip, I got a chance to go to Tom Bilyeu's house, I went to Tim Story's house, I saw John Assaraf, I met Dean Graziosi, a whole bunch of some of the people that I profiled a lot on my channel, I got to meet and hang out with and be invited into their homes. And it was an amazing gift, amazing blessing. And when I'm in their home, when I'm talking to them and I'm in front of them face to face, the only thing going through my mind is, this is what's possible, right? Like, how cool is this? And this is what's possible for me to make if I keep going, right? My ambitions to try to solve the world's biggest problem that I'm never gonna get done, every day waking up trying to do it. And it's not just about having a fancy house and the fancy cars, but that this life is possible. Most people will see that person and see their home on TV or see it in a YouTube video and they say, well, that person must have ripped people off. That person must be a really bad person. Where I can tell you it's the opposite. You know, Ed was so friendly, was so kind, was so welcoming, made so much time for me. He fit me into his calendar and then spent way more time than we initially talked about. I spent basically the rest of the night there and then went home, and he was really nice and really friendly. He's not a jackass. He's not someone who mistreats people. He made it ethically and of service to other people. Like, it's an inspiration. It's an inspiration being there and seeing how this person with so many demands on his time, so many people who rely on him, still making time for people, still making time to serve, to give back, to meet maybe the next generation of people off trying to do things. This is something I aspire to be, right? When I go and speak at an event, when I spoke at Ed's event earlier this year in Whistler, I make sure to stick around. I don't just fly in and fly out. I make sure to stick around to give value. I want to talk to anybody who feels like I can help them with their problem. When I spoke at Brendan and Dean's event, giant event, a couple thousand people, I stayed in the lobby for another 4 or 5 hours afterwards just talking to people. Not because I'm so great, it's an honor, it's humbling. Like, my speaking on stage is really the permission for me to then talk to people outside in the lobby. That's the best, and I hope I never lose that, right? And from what I've seen, from the people that I've been able to hang out with, it's possible, it's doable. The constraints in your time do get real, but I love being around that and comparing myself, not that I can never get there or that these people are so much better than me, that this is what's possible, that if I keep going and I stay strong and I keep pushing myself, this is what is possible for me to create, for you to create. And so I love the kick. I love the comparison. I love being in environments that are way bigger than what I'm used to, because it's, for me, inspiring. And I think we often need that kick, because otherwise, if you stay where you are, chances are you're the biggest person in your family in terms of ambition, in terms of drive, in terms of willingness to do good, in terms of just being happy and positive. You're probably the most positive person, most ambitious person that you know. And that's great, because you can serve other people around you. You're the person that people come to for advice, for wisdom, for recommendations. You're that person for other people. But then you just stay small. You just stay where you are. Where if you're around people who are pushing you to get better, who've done way more, right? Way more than you. Maybe they're even 10 years younger than you. They've done way more. If you're around that person more, even if just virtually through YouTube, it'll kick you forward. It'll help you realize that you have even so much more potential, that you're living small compared to what you could be, and using that again as a kick forward, not to say, I suck, I'm never gonna get there. Look at that person who's 10 years younger than me and way more successful. No, as something for you to say, I can do more than what I'm doing right now. I can live a bigger life to what I'm doing right now. I can serve greater than what I'm doing right now. I've been playing small because I've been afraid. And I'm gonna use this comparison kick to help me be less afraid, to step into the life that I want, so I can make the impact that I want for the planet, for my family, for myself. Let's go. So how do you do it? I've got a 3-step process I think will help, but first, a special message from Ed Mylett.
I love the book by my brother Evan Carmichael, Built to Serve, you guys. This is the kind of thing you get in this book. Most people wake up and drive to a job they hate. Think about your 5 closest friends. Are they happy? Do they live their lives with purpose? Do you? We put on a fake front for what we want people to see and think about us, but the reality is most people aren't happy. We're lost. We settle. You can't be happy if you don't know your purpose. And then he goes on to explain how to do that. You guys should get this book, Built to Serve, by my dear friend Evan Carmichael.
Okay, how do we do it? How can we model others? How can we compare ourselves to others in a healthy, positive way to kick ourselves forward? 3 steps, let's go. Step number 1 is figure out 3 people that are living the life that you want. And I would categorize it 1 for business, 1 for health, and 1 for relationships. Those 3. Who's a business guru, business mentor of yours that you look up to and say, I want to run a business like her or like him? Health. Who's someone in health who's just living a really healthy life that you admire and respect? And then relationships. Who is in a relationship and having success in that relationship that you want to model? Those are the 3 kind of pillars, right? Your business, your health, and your relationships. And chances are it's not the same person. Even what I have on my wall here, right? I have Steve Jobs and I have my father as an example. Steve Jobs is on here because I want to be a visionary like Steve Jobs. I want to make a dent in the universe, his favorite line. I want to have a big impact. I want to change the world like Steve Jobs did. I don't want to be a father like Steve Jobs because he wasn't a very good one. So relationships, no, I'm not going to him for that, right? I love him. I respect him as a business visionary. That's what I'm going to pull from him. And when I go to my father, it's the opposite. He's not a business visionary. You know, he's not. But relationships, he's still with my mom, however many years, decades later. I love how he parented me growing up. I think they did a fantastic job instilling belief in me. And so on the relationship side, I model my father. On the visionary side, I model Steve Jobs. Who are you going to model? Business, health, and relationships. Step number 2 is look at how did they get started. Chances are they came from something, right? Chances are they weren't just a success out of the womb. right? If you look at Steve Jobs' story and how many times he failed and different projects that didn't work out and eventually becoming a success. Also, even just looking at his background and being adopted and having fears of abandonment and all of those life issues that he had to deal with as well, right? So those 3 people that you picked, how did they get started? Try to find how they're connected to you right now, right? Because where I'm at right now, it's hard to imagine Steve Jobs when he passed. The height of his success is nowhere close to what I've accomplished. Where was Steve Jobs kind of close to me? It wasn't day 1 at Apple. Was it day 200? Was it day 400? Was it day 600? Right at Apple. Same thing for you. Find the people, those 3 people, find out in their life cycle, go backwards, and try to find where were they similar to you. Where were they in the relationships? Where were they in the health? Where were they in the business that were similar to you? Because that's going to be inspiring. That's where you compare yourself and say, okay, they were like me. They're not that different than me. And then they made these changes and they totally changed and they grew and they became amazing. That's success leaves clues. You can follow that same path and be similarly successful. And maybe not achieve all the way to like Steve Jobs, but I can learn a lot and be a way better Evan Carmichael by modeling Steve Jobs. So the second step is not to compare yourself to where they're at in the final step, but where they're close to you. How did they get started? And then step number 3 is how can you be around them daily? Those 3 people who you look up to, who you're inspired by for different reasons. How can you be around them daily? Part of me having these people on the wall is to be around them daily. That if I forgot, I walk into my office and I can't forget because here they are, right? I'm sitting here, I'm standing on a trampoline. I'm standing here, here's my computer, I got 2 monitors, right? And I'm looking at this monitor right here and there's Steve Jobs like staring me down, right? My monitor, Steve Jobs. Monitor, Steve Jobs, right? So he's looking at me, he's literally right over my shoulder looking at me, pushing me, saying, Evan, come on man, let's go, think bigger, play bigger. Where's your dent in your universe? Make it happen. So when I walk in, they're around me, right? I'm a visual guy, so I like having the art here to make that happen. The mannequin that has my outfit on back here behind me to remind myself that I want to be a superhero. The videos that I watch every day in creating content for you guys because it pushes me forward. When I watch an Ed Mylett video, I want to do better myself. I want to push harder myself. I want to max out my life, right? That's what I get when I watch an Ed Mylett video. And same thing when I watch a Steve Jobs video or any of the other people that I profile here on these channels. So for you, how can you be around those people daily? Through books, through podcasts, through interviews, through YouTube channels, through artwork, through clothing. How can you be around them daily so that it forces you to stretch into the person that you want to be instead of staying the person that you are right now? Now I've got a really special bonus clip that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, question of the day, I want to know who are the 3 people for you? Who are those 3 people? 1 for business, 1 for health, 1 for relationships. Who are the 3 people that you look up to? Put them down in the comments below. I want to know who they are, but I think it can also inspire other people who are watching and maybe introduce them to some new people that they haven't heard of before. Sharing the good, helping out Believe Nation, so put it down in the comments below. And if you made it this far in the video, you're still here watching, I want to celebrate you. Believe Nation, we don't just watch videos. If you commit, you promise you're going to take action after watching this video, give me a hashtag Believe in the comments below, and also tell me where you're from so I can celebrate you.
I think that in order for us to truly change, we have to get beyond ourselves, and that is one of the arts of transformation. And when the moment we are completely in the present moment, we cannot be running a program. It turns out, coincidentally, when we're truly in the present moment, all possibilities in the quantum field exist in the eternal now. So when we're truly present and we take our attention off our body, off of people in our lives, off of things, off of places, and even time, that's the moment, as I said today, we become pure consciousness. That's the moment now we are no longer playing by the laws of Newtonian physics. That's the moment we no longer have our attention invested in this 3-dimensional reality. And where we place our attention is where we place our energy. So then the moment we become nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, and no time, that's the moment we get beyond ourselves. It is that act of being in the present moment that allows us to see new possibilities that we could never see from the place where we are stuck in our own programs and personality. The act of doing that, as Bruce said, is a skill, and it requires feedback. And feedback happens in a couple ways. One way you get feedback is to begin to measure the changes you see in your life. Another way is that you feel differently. Another way is that the voice in your head goes away that's telling you can, it's too hard, you'll never change. This process, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. And yet we are piercing a veil where people are waking up and they're beginning to take their power back. We already innately know how to do this. All we have to do is keep practicing until we start seeing those wonderful, wonderful feedback mechanisms happening in our life. The moment you start seeing those changes taking place in your life, you are going to pay attention to what you did to cause it. And the moment you pay attention to the cause of that action, you're no longer thinking that it's something out there that did it. You're beginning to realize it's what you did inside of you to produce it.
If you want to know how Ed Mylett outworks everyone, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and we'll see you there.